This recorded lecture will cover pricing, as well as costs of the firm and how they affect pricing. And at the end, we're going to go over to the modules and look at the perceptual map. So that's what we're covering today. All these will be added to your course project. What factors influence pricing? Well, the business strategy, where the business is going, the product, the life cycle the business is currently in affects it. Marketing strategy affects pricing. How are you positioned in the market affects your pricing. The customers affect the pricing as to what they will buy and what they won't buy, and what price factors affect their purchases and their behavior. And the marketing channels you have affect pricing. We'll talk about that. And competitors affect pricing. So obviously, in the competitive markets, the competition does affect pricing. And lastly, the costs of the firm affect pricing. And we're going to be talking about costs and how we break costs into fixed and variable. And I'm going to explain this. I think this is an important concept to understand because how you run a business really depends on your variable and fixed costs. We have two categories. So the first one is variable, we'll talk about. And essentially, and to simplify it, variable costs vary or change with production or sales volume. So keep that in mind, because the more you sell, the more boxes you use, packages you use, the more units you produce, and the more people are involved with that, the more you have to pay them. Also, sales commissions are affected by or a variable cost. Obviously, the more you sell, if you have a sales force, the more they sell, the more you have to pay them. So those are variable costs that go up and down with production. Now, fixed costs are different. Fixed costs are set and have to be paid whether sales happen or not. If you look at this chart, you see fixed are always the same, variables go up and down. So a classic fixed cost would be the rent you pay or the mortgage you pay for your space. It could be the salary you pay people. That does not go up and down based on sales. It could be your advertising expenses. It could be the insurance you pay. All those things are fixed costs. So those typically don't go up or down with production or with more units being sold. In a hotel, the more occupancy you have, the higher costs, the higher your variable cost in maid service will be. So to give you an example. So there you have variable and fixed. Variable change with production, fixed do not. So we're going to be looking at variable costs and how they affect cost of goods sold. We'll be looking at an example of that a little bit later, a few slides away. And other variable costs include commissions and compensation based on sales volume and bonuses, things like that. Shipping and handling charges. So I think you're getting the point that variable costs do change based on production. Now, fixed costs do not change. Although they may change, they may be adjusted a bit. The fixed costs are really what the business is responsible for no matter what. And so in a sandwich shop, I'm going to show you a real simple example that the rent is the same every month, whether they sell one sandwich or 100. So you can adjust your fixed cost. You can get a smaller space. You can cut advertising during the very slow times. That's a fixed cost considered. You might give yourself less money, pay yourself less money, or you might, if you have a general manager, you might, hire another one that costs less money. So that's how you can affect your fixed costs. But overall, they don't change. So common fixed costs are like insurance, you pay, salaries, direct salaries that are going to be paid no matter what you sell. Advertising, although you can adjust that, you can cut it off if you want to. That's not always a great marketing strategy, but here are other things like utilities and your gas or your electric, your phone, internet access, rent or mortgage, all those things are considered fixed. So fixed costs do change over time, as I mentioned already. If you pay your manager $3,600, you'll have to pay that amount whether you sell or not. Whether you may not have the tables filled up, and you may be, have a disappointing sales for a month, still have to pay your manager. And sometimes fixed costs will go up, and that is, at some point you want to keep your manager, you have to give them pay increases as time goes by. That increases your fixed costs. And so, and by the way, if you want to look and just kind of get just the reinforce this with yourself, variable costs are here and fixed costs are here. I just want you to leave this understanding the difference. So fixed costs, the problem with fixed costs is, and they're dangerous because this fixed costs are what drives businesses out of business. That's why 80% of businesses fail in the first couple of years, because that's small business, because the fixed costs don't change. And if you're not filling up tables in a restaurant, hotel rooms, selling enough streetwear products, and your fixed costs don't change, you're going to be losing money, and that will drive you out of business. So they have to be paid whether you make enough sales or not. So I wanted to show you this example of really kind of a simple example, but a real example. This could be of someone named Denise, and she has a sandwich. She's got one of those, food trucks, those remote food selling trucks. And she sells everything for all her sandwiches for $5. So let's look at the cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold doesn't really account for any fixed costs. It's more about variable costs. So you have sale price of $5. The material is $1, and the labor to make that sandwich is $1.50, and that's what she's paying herself per unit to make those. So that means the cost of goods sold is $2.50. So she had $5, and the cost per unit is $2.50. So now let's look at, so you had the cost of goods sold here, right? We just did this exercise. Then we add taxes to that. She has to pay tax, and that's 40 cents. So now, but then she has to apply the fixed costs, and just, the cost of the food truck, the electricity, the rent, whatever it is, the other things she has to pay for that space. That's going to be a fixed cost of $1.20. And now, so the cost of goods sold, just materials and labor, taxes, fixed costs. Then you take all those costs out, and the net profit is 90 cents per sandwich. So for her to have a net profit, to walk away with money after she pays her taxes, she has to sell a lot of sandwiches, obviously. Now she's also paying herself with the labor. But let's say if she had a manager doing this for her, she'd have to pay the manager this, and her net profit would be that. So that's how costs are extrapolated, if you want to call it that. Now, if we were in the classroom now, I would ask you to, and this is going to be part of your project. I'm going to ask you to identify fixed and variable costs for the business you're focused on. Now, that is going to be something, you're not experts at this, but I just want you to look at what the fixed and variable costs could be. Try to imagine what they would be and put them in a category, fixed or variable. And then I'd like you to make a slide in the presentation reflecting that. Now we're going to get into a couple pricing strategies. So as we mentioned, that cost does affect the price. Definitely, fixed and variables affects the price. But now we've accounted for that. Let's look at, other strategies. The main strategies. Do we come in with a price penetration strategy? And that we use a price penetration strategies when we have common products. We're selling a common product in a crowded market. It might even be solar panels we're selling. So we sell the service, solar panel service and installation. That's a crowded market. You're going to have to come in at a penetration price. That's going to be matching competitors, and you're going to be looking at that. But you also have to know your fixed and variable costs in order to come up with the price. But your competitors in penetration pricing, your competitors are in a way are dictating your pricing because you have to be entering the market competitively. And it's suitable for products with anticipated long life cycle, which we'll talk about. And for launching a new product in a crowded market, you'd use that. And we have companies that commonly use that. Now, price skimming is a different strategy. That's where you are a market leader. You have a differentiated product that resonates. Your unique value proposition resonates with your audience. They want it. They will pay for it. We always use Apple, the iPhone. Okay, so, they come out to give you an idea what skimming looks like. They come out with an iPhone for $1,399 when it's new, and then by the end of its cycle, which lasts about a year and a half, it's down to $899. They're actually reducing the price relatively quickly, but they entered the market with a skimming strategy, which is setting a high price early in the product life cycle. And again, the iPhone is the example. This is the 14 Pro, I believe it is, with the newest camera. And so this shows you, this came in at $1,300, ended, and now it's close to $1,000 by the time it goes through its life cycle, which is relatively short. Before a new one comes out, it's going to be below that. So that's price skimming. Now, there's another concept called premium pricing, and that is we're going to sell far fewer units at very high prices. And Apple there's a strategy in using this strategy. I mean, there's a strategy to use a strategy. There's a strategy behind this, and that is, we have these are pure gold. These are made out of gold, rose gold and yellow gold. And who would buy this? Who would pay $17,000, $15,000, $17,000? Who would pay that? Well, maybe celebrities would. Maybe music stars would. Maybe professional athletes would. They want a super premium price. These products are going to be, These products are going to be here in the premium area. Super premium is what we just looked at. Premium, it would be like the iPhone, the iPhone 14 Pro would be premium. Super premium are these products. There's a market, they don't expect to sell a lot of these, but the ones they do, there's going to be very high margins or high profit margins on them. To show you the relation of price skimming and price penetration as we go through the life cycle, Price skimming starts at a high price point with the intention and the knowledge that that price is going to decline relatively quickly through its limited life cycle. Price penetration is a longer life cycle and will have a flatter curve, flatter slope. But both price skimming and price penetration will equalize somewhere in the maturity level when the product becomes mature. They pretty much equalize. The price penetration keeps going. The price skimming, typically it's a shorter life cycle, and then a new product is launched, before it plummets too low. There's a short video on the product life cycle if you want to watch it. If you want to learn more about that. I want to look at the cost and of a athletic shoe, of a Nike, of a Adidas in this case. Cost $21. Cost of goods sold is $21. That's the unit price and the labor, and that's what it costs to make it, and the cost of materials. You add another cost, and that's freight, insurance, customs, because you're going to export it. You have marketing is $8. Other expenses and overheads, that could be relative to sales and bonuses and commissions, things like that. Then you have income tax is a small little sliver here. Then you have this gold line is the net profit to Adidas. They're typically the units of the business are making profit also, but the net profit they put in their pocket is $2 a shoe. And then the retailer buys the shoe for $50 and sells it for $100. So they're doubling the mark. They're putting a 50% markup, we call that. $50 cost, $50. So they're taking the risk. They're buying the shoe, they're inventorying it, they have to sell it, they have to pay rent, commissions, all those things. So that's the anatomy of a shoe and where the money goes. So something to keep in mind when you're looking at buying a shoe. Now we also want to look at psychological pricing. So it's used to play on consumer perceptions. And it's always 0.99. Seems like it's always 99. Whenever, even in expensive, high involvement purchases, where you have, the price of a car is $40,000. The price you see on the car will say $39,900 or $990. They will never say $40,000. Why is that? That's because they know psychologically we discount things to the lower increment. So think about your experience. If you see an iPhone at $399, the iPhone SE $399, when you tell people about it, you'll say, yeah, they have it for 300 and something. You're not saying 400, you're saying 300. Yeah, it's 300 and whatever. So that's why everybody around the world uses psychological pricing. I think if you think about your own or your home countries where you come from, you're going to find that. I'd like you to watch this video on Costco treasure hunting. It's just an interesting video. It shows how products are sold at Costco, what pricing strategies are used, and it's kind of interesting. I'd like you to look at that. And then the next one is loss leader. This is another tool we use. So the loss leader, marketers use this strategically. They will take a product and they will price it at or below their cost. Sometimes they'll get a concession from the manufacturer, but they'll price it at or below their cost with the intention of getting attention by the market. Then the consumers see that and they make they have the impression that everything that business sells is going to be a great price. I'm going to give you an example. we were looking for a microwave oven, and I somehow ended up at Walmart. I don't really like shopping there, but ended up there. They have a lot of microwaves for sale, but they have one display, and it was like an apartment-sized microwave, a little small thing, something you guys are probably used for in where you live. And it holds like a 1 cubic foot of one, I don't know, convert that to meters, I'm not sure, but it doesn't hold very much. But it works, it's a name brand and all that. Got a warranty. They have a loss leader price on it at like $29.88, which is a crazy low price. They're trying to create the perception that when you see that microwave, you're going to all of a sudden say, you know what, this is an incredible price. I can't use it because it's too small, but oh boy, this tells me that all their other products are also great prices. And that may not be true. So you look at behind this low price small microwave, and you see all these products for $80 to $100 to $120 or more. But the perception was put in your mind that, and there was another thing of a low price. The other thing it did was it got you to come into the store. You might have seen the advertisement, so it got you to come in. Now you're looking at other products. Most of the time when a retailer merchandises like that, the low price leader doesn't really sell that much. It's more about bringing you in to see other things. So that's what the loss leader is. Now, before I turn you loose first of all, I'd like you to, for your team projects, I would like you to identify fixed and variable costs. I mentioned that before. That can be on one slide. We talk about costs of the firm, costs of your business. Identify a short list of fixed costs and a short list of variable costs. You can even put dollar amounts or euro amounts there if you want it to be creative. Although you don't have all that information, it might just kind of bring the concept to life a little more if you put euros or dollars there. The next item is I'd like you to identify the price strategy. Are you going to use price skimming or price penetration? The one you choose will tell me if you understand the concept. The next thing, psychological pricing. What does your pricing look like? Put a price list together for different products. What's it going to look like? Are you going to use psychological pricing? 0.99 or not? And then the other thing is the other might be loss leader. Would you have a loss leader product like a sweatshirt for a really low price just to get the attention of the market? You don't have to do that, by the way. I'm just saying that's another option. So this is one slide, fixed variable cost. Another slide is going to be price skimming or price penetration and psychological price, what it looks like. Lastly, I'd like you to design a perceptual map. And I'm going to, in the modules, we have a model, this model is there. And I'm just going to show you how it works. It looks more complicated than it is. As you change these things, you can, like, let's say I change this to product A. Product A. When I click out, I watch down here. When I click out of it, it makes this product A. And now let's say I want to change McDonald's on convenience. I want to give them right now we have it at 5.5. I want to make it 5, just a 5, because it's a 1 to 5 scale. I'd like you to watch this line now. As I do this, if I click out, it adjusts. And you can change all these things. You can, I want to change this to price. P-R-I-C-E. Watch when I click out, this will change. Price. Okay. So I'd like you to come up with your product and then 3 competitors. I'd like you to select your own variables to measure. Don't use taste or these things. I'd like you to come up with your own. Some of these may be consistent with what you need to measure. Another one could be environmental consciousness or something like that. could be another one that you could replace one of these with. Try to come up with your own variables. Be as original as you can. Put in numbers that you feel are realistic based on. I've seen this used very unscientifically just to get an idea of where the product sits based on 4 variables. So this is called a perceptual map. I'd like you to use this, and then when we go back to the modules, we're going to be looking at module 6, and you know, you're going to see obviously you've already found the lecture. These are the slides that accompany the lecture, the readings. This is the instructional video. If you really want to review again how the perceptual map works, I made a YouTube video, short one, that explains it. Here's the perceptual map template there. And then there's a pricing discussion that I need you to take part in there. And then what I'd like you to do is when you're done with the perceptual map, I would like you to just copy and paste this part of it. You don't need to do the table too, just do this. This is the visual depiction I'm looking for, okay? And I would like it, guys, if you would collaborate on this. Don't just have one person do this and say, I'll do pricing if you do this. You all are responsible for every part of the presentation. You might get asked questions about it. There's also going to be test questions on it. And so need you to do that. And that's week 6 in a nutshell. Remember to stay up with the assignments and the quizzes and all that sort of thing. So I'll see you next week in the classroom live. And that is it for now. If you have any questions, you know how to reach me. You can reach me multiple ways, but email is probably the best way. Okay, thanks everybody. See you in class next week.